Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone on YouTube. My name is Kathy. I wanted to first thank you all very much for the wonderful support that you have shown me as an independent podcaster that is bringing original content to you here on YouTube with documents, with information, with visuals, with always the objective of encouraging you to read the documents for yourself, whether the content has been regarding documents that have been produced in the court record in Idaho versus Kohberger from its inception back in December of 2022 through its closure this month. My goal has always been to point out what I believe, in my opinion, is relevant to these filings, giving a little bit of feedback, a little bit of discussion, information, but always with the goal of encouraging you to read the documents for yourself, whether it is a document that was published in the official court record in Idaho versus Kohberger, or in the past few days, the now released hundreds of papers never before seen by the public from the Moscow Police Department's investigation into the crimes at 1122 King Road, which has been made available at no cost by the city of Moscow to the public. I've received some questions regarding the publications that have the white cover, that have episode number, white background, Idaho versus Kohberger. The difference between what I've just described as original content here on YouTube and that content is the Idaho versus Kohberger podcast. That is why it is only my speaking. It is audio only. It has populated onto this YouTube channel. They are not original productions on here on YouTube like the other presentations are. That is where I started in examining this case. The Idaho versus Kohberger podcast began with episode 1, which evaluated and discussed page 1 of the affidavit of probable cause, went through the next 18 episodes, page by page, evaluated page 2 of the affidavit of probable cause. That's episode 2 of the podcast. Page 5 of the affidavit of probable cause. That is episode number 5. Page 18 is the last page of the affidavit of probable cause, going into the podcast episode number 18. And then for the next several hundred episodes, we went through the documents on the court record in Idaho versus Kohberger, beginning in Latah County, and then as of September of 2024, when the Ada County file was opened, with Mr. Kohberger physically being transported from the Latah County jail where he was to the Ada County jail where he remained until July 23rd, 2025. After his sentencing, he was taken and transferred to the custody of the Idaho Department of Corrections. My goal in producing that completely independent soup to nuts podcast was to take an independent view of the case, with the objective being finding, or hopefully finding, the truth of what happened on that tragic day at 1122 King Road. This was a venture that in the end was impossible to even come close to meeting because of the abrupt way, almost on the courthouse steps, where the public was suddenly notified of a change in plea, as we were at the beginning of this month, and when we saw Mr. Kohberger admit to guilt, all 5 of the counts that were against him. So my goal of seeing this podcast through trial and then concluding my work in this case as an independent journalist can't conclude until the records that are under seal in Idaho versus Kohberger are unsealed. That's a process we understand Judge Hippler has stated he is going to go through, starting from the most recent documents, working backwards. As of today, July 25th, 2025, there has not been one document that's been unsealed by Judge Hippler. We're hoping that it will be unsealed sooner rather than later. My review of the documents that I have been able to review thus far that have been released from the Moscow Police Department has left me with more questions than answers, such as, having looked at certain records, how was it that the Moscow Police Department was able to clear as many people as they did while they're investigating this mass unaliving, all of this conflicting information regarding timelines, for instance, of when Kaylee and Maddie left the corner club? We've seen a few different versions of what that time was thus far, to other questions regarding evidence that can only come from the court files. We don't want a description of what that evidence supposedly says. We want to see the evidence itself. That is still under seal. So, therefore, we're going to continue the podcast, and we're going to continue this channel in continuing to evaluate records as they come to fruition, and they are posted on the court docket. When they are, we will let you know. And one final word about the podcast. It's published on multiple sites. I like this YouTube site because it provides a search engine. The docket is voluminous. It is unsearchable in Idaho versus Kohberger. Here on YouTube, if you're interested, let's say, on something like IgG-DNA, you plug that term in to the search engine here on YouTube, it will pull up all the episodes of the podcast, which will direct you to the court filings that correspond with whatever you're looking for, or the presentations we have done on YouTube, always with the goal of directing you to the official records so that you can read them for yourself. I want to conclude by saying, again, how much I appreciate your support. This is truly a labor of love, if you will, in trying to figure out what happened at 1122 King Road to Maddie, to Kaylee, to Xana, and to Ethan. I don't think that we have those answers as of yet, and we can only arrive at those answers when the documentation, in my opinion, is unsealed in this case. If you like our content, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit the like button. That will help our channel to grow and to get our message out there of independence in looking at this case. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do. It will also help our channel grow, and it will give you notifications as we produce more content, whether on the podcast or here, original content on YouTube. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.